again, everybody, and welcome to CEO Chat, where you never know what's going to happen.
Nope.
And my name is Al Cini.
And I'm still Joe Osamendi.
But we know what's going to happen today.
Yes, we do.
Today, what's going to happen is Jason Fisher of Empirical Consulting Solutions.
Welcome, Jason.
Thank you. Thank you
What
for
a pleasure.
having me.
And you know, it's taken us a while to get you on this program.
Yes.
We've done it by way of interviewing a number of other associates and partners at ECS. We've talked to Hillary Norris and Bill Morrow, and we were going to have Chris on the program with you, but he's too busy.
He's too busy. He's too busy.
These are happy problems to have, and we'll certainly explore all that. But to get us started, Empirical Consulting Solutions, maybe you can break that name down for us. What is it you guys do?
Yeah, so we really define ourselves as a business transformation company. So we have clients across a wide range of industries. And so we're agnostic to industry, and we offer comprehensive solutions, but it's all focused on the middle market. And we define the middle market, everybody defines it differently, but we define it really 10 million in revenue to 250 million in revenue.
Okay.
So companies that have 60 people, 100 people, 150 people, and those revenue ranges.
Okay.
And we work across a variety of areas, so strategy and leadership, finance, marketing, sales and CRM, operations, and HR.
Right.
And a lot of times what we find is those companies really need kind of a one-stop shop for help.
Got it.
Right? So we're able to provide a lot of different levels of work for them in different areas as needs arise. And what we really do is kind of 3 buckets of work for them. Our companies either use us in a CXO role, which is like a interim chief. So Hillary's right now on assignment as a chief financial officer on an interim basis for a company that kind of got stuck in a position where they needed some help right away.
Okay.
Chris is operating as a COO for another company right now, which is why he couldn't be here today. They had some things come up and he had to be involved with that, which is good and bad, right? We'd love to have him here, but it's good that he has the issue.
Definitely more good than bad.
Right, and then we have really we have our fractional support role, which is our team will go out and these middle market companies don't necessarily need an HR generalist 5 days a week, all year long. So we'll have someone go out and be their HR person 2-3 days a month, 2 days a week, whatever really fits their need. Sure. But they're a skilled HR person, and it's able to have someone doing the role the right way for them.
Right.
Got it.
But at a fraction of the cost. And then our last bucket is really business transformation, where that's a very broad swath, but companies may be in a good position and say, hey, I'm X dollars, but I want to be Y, and how do I grow? I need someone to come help me look at how we're doing things. Sometimes companies are, hey, I have an immediate need. I'm a startup, I don't have the resources to do it, or some companies will say, I have a problem, I don't know what my problem is. I think I know what it is, I'm not sure what it is. Can you guys come in and do some assessments for me and help me understand?
Right.
And what we really do is work to try and fix the root of the problem, right? We want to get to what's causing the issue, not to what's people are reacting to, the symptom.
Which gets us to the reason why Empirical is in the name of the company.
Right, we believe in data, right? So data is imperative to making informed decisions. So you have to use your intuition, still your experience, your knowledge of past performance and how you've done things, but you've got to be acting on data because it tells you the right story.
Exactly.
So a lot of that data is data that explains why why a situation might be the way it is. But 1 or 2 of those numbers are going to be numbers that represent needles that you want to move. And taking action is a big part of your value proposition too.
Yeah, so a lot of times, and consulting is kind of perceived as a negative word sometimes.
I've often heard that.
Yes, so have we. But a lot of times what we say is, a lot of consultants will offer plans and strategy and say, here, this is how you would fix it. What we say is, we're going to build how to fix it with you.
Right.
Because you have to own it when we're done, but then we're going to help you fix it and eventually teach you how to fix it and how to identify it next time, and then you can wean off us.
And the goal ultimately is to disengage at some point when you've accomplished that, and maybe re-engage later on another issue. Yeah. Which often happens. I mean, a lot of your business is repeat business, isn't it?
Correct. So our clients tend to re-engage us for different issues, or hey, this has been going well, we haven't talked to you in a few months, we just come back in, let's let you be a sounding board, are we still doing the right things? So we tend to stay in kind of our initial engagement tends to be big, fast, and furious, right? We're trying to fix a problem or get to a specific point, and then we kind of move into advisory roles is what we would refer to them as.
How did you get started in this business?
Well, so interestingly, Chris and I have worked together on and off for 20 plus years, 25 plus years. It's been a long time. And he had left his company in 2013. I had left my company. Both were in VP levels in corporate and just kind of got tired of that world. And he called me up one day and said, hey, I'm trying to figure out what I want to do next. I've looked at franchises, but I'm consulting for this one company. That company's still a client of ours today.
Oh, okay, cool.
And I'm doing some help with them. I think there's a need for this, and I think we can make a business out of it. So we had lunch, and about 2 days later, I said, okay, I'm in. I made a decision. I'm not going to look for another job. This is what I want to do. And we started in June of 2013.
That's great.
Okay.
So you've been operating the company now for 6 years, you and Chris.
Coming up on 6 years.
And I've seen it just over the last couple of years as we've interviewed people at ECS, as you brought them on. We've seen it grow into a whole bunch of
Correct.
specialty areas in a way by adding great associates and terrific new partners.
Yeah, we really, it was just the two of us, and as we got into companies, we realized we need, you can't do this business alone, right? We brought in some functional people on the HR side because most of what we dealt with on process turned into there's people behind the process, and we need to work with people. Came across Bill through some networking. Bill's a great networker. We spent a couple months getting to know him through lunches and meetings, and just kind of, he did something similar but on the sales side and sharing stories, and suddenly we realized, why are we not together on this? And Bill became our third partner. Hillary just joined as our fourth partner this year.
That's terrific.
Yeah.
And now, Narberth, your office is in Narberth, PA.
Yes.
So that's a Philadelphia suburb for people who might be outside the area. You've got clients, though, that are not just in Philadelphia. I mean, you've got clients everywhere, don't you?
Yeah, we just kind of went through our client list the other day. But we have 80 plus clients over the 6 years, hundreds of engagements. 10 are internationally based, so their corporate office is international, and we've worked across the country. A lot of clients are based here, but then they'll have supply chain in Houston or an office in California, distribution in Seattle. So we're all over the place. We'll go anywhere.
Okay, great. Now, part of your process is discovery. I know that
Yes.
we were talking a little bit about how sometimes you need to qualify a client. Clients who want to hire you, but then also want to tell you how to do what it is they hired you to do, they're not necessarily the best clients, are they?
Not always. We have a standing mantra. Our client always gets the 51st vote. If they don't want to do something, they don't have to do it. It's their business.
Sure,
Right.
right.
We
But
always
then
act-
again, if they hired you, it's because they want you to think your way
Yes.
through this process with them. That means they might learn things. You want them to be willing to learn, and that's a very important part of.
Yeah, so we do a lot of discovery up front when we get to know prospective clients, and really it's probably been our biggest learning in the almost 6 years now is we have a lot of dialogue about whether you really want change or not.
Right.
We don't make a good relationship. You don't need us to come in and consult if you really don't want to change what you're doing.
Sure, exactly.
Right.
So a lot of that dialogue is between us up front to make sure that, hey, you're really ready for change. There's those pain points or those things that are bringing you to meet us are really, you're ready to make a change in them, or you're not, then maybe it's not the right time for us.
Sure.
Well, that's good. I mean, that's sensible. And when you find a client that is connected with you with respect to wanting to change and actually keeping their mind open about that, what kind of outcomes do you get for them?
Depends on the client, right? So it's all over the place in the work we do.
Right.
A lot of what we do up front is to define what we're going to go after, right? So a lot of our clients come with a perceived issue, but then when we talk to them, it's not quite the issue that they're having.
Right.
And then outcomes could be greater sales, could be better growth, could be improved margins, could be culture work, and I've reduced turnover because it all ties back to people, process, and technology. So it really depends on the interaction and the specific work we're doing for the client.
How long does the engagement usually last?
So I'd say most of our clients are around the 9-month to a year mark.
Okay.
But we usually start with one specific engagement that we may think will go 3 months or 4 months, right, in terms of discovery and then building the plan and then doing the work with the team. A lot of times what happens, that turns into multiple things because as you uncover one rock, you find there's 2 other problems and we can't leave this alone, so it's kind of scope creep, but we agree that it's the right thing to do. We've had clients that have been with us since we started, which are 6 years, and we've had projects that have gone a month. Really depends.
And it's like you said, your first client is still a client. So
It's still a client.
You're obviously not doing the same thing for them today that you were doing 6 years ago when you started, but they called you back repeatedly, and that is a proof point of value. So that's got to be something you guys are pretty proud of.
It's nice when you think about the middle market, and especially family-owned companies or companies that may be a little bit smaller in the middle market, 10, 15, 20 million. The owner or the president or the CEO is usually wearing 9 hats. That's just not feasible most of the time. You don't have enough time to do all those 9 hats, so it really becomes a good working relationship.
Yeah, that's
And it's
great.
affordable because it works for everybody.
Yeah, and you pay for us when you need us. You don't pay for
Right,
us to be
right.
just sitting in the wings waiting.
So unlike Accenture, it's not about producing volumes of reports that sit on a shelf. It's about helping the client actually move forward by taking direct action.
Yes. So we have to do the define phase. We have to understand what the real problem is. We have to build a roadmap. A lot of what we tell our clients is, let's talk about your vision. Where do you want to be in 5 years? Because if you want to create an ESOP for your business, or you want to sell to a strategic partner, or you want to have your kids take over, we may take different pathways to get you to where you want to get. It's different actions that are needed. So we did a lot up front of good due diligence, and that's where the empirical data comes in. Then we build the roadmap with the client, and then we help them execute as much as they want or need our help.
Okay, great.
I'd say probably 75 to 80% of our due diligence work, which we call our Fresh Eyes program, turns into long engagements. We're actually helping the client execute.
Okay.
You've mentioned family businesses a couple of times. I generally like to ask people who have family business experience. The dynamics of a family in a business are unique, aren't they?
They're very unique, and sometimes they're bombshells, right?
How do you deal with that?
Well, like family business, they've been here for 2 generations, 3 generations, so we understand the complexity at this point. We understand it's a different conversation, right? It's not just a decision for the key stakeholder who's the owner. They may have 3 or 4 family members who aren't involved in the business on a day-to-day, but they have to go back and talk to about what they're going to do.
Sure.
So it's probably a little more dialogue, a little more coaching, a little more advisory on, hey, if you really want to get here, we need to get everybody in consensus to do this. Here's how would you present it to them? Would you like us to speak? A lot of times it's, nope, I got it. Let me talk to my family. Yeah, we don't like to get into the family dynamics. We'd like to stay just above them.
Well, you're not going to fix the family. What you're going to do is make the family happier with the results they're getting from the business that they operate together. And a lot of it has to do with just reminding them what it is they do. When families serve the business works. When the business serves the family starts to flounder because it kind of loses a sense of its own mission. What I like about the story you're telling me is that your first discovery phase is about reminding people what it was they had in mind when they built their business in the first place. Let's see if we can't get back to that, to start doing more of that.
Absolutely. And a lot of family businesses, they were built 30, 40 years ago. Well, the market's changed, the environment's changed, politics have changed. Things are constantly changing. You always have to evolve your business. So if you keep going, you can go back to what your original vision was, but you have to understand that the generations have changed and the environment has changed, and you have to be able to change with it.
Okay, so you're not 19 years old. You've been doing this for a while. What's your background? Tell us a little bit about Jason Fisher and where he...
So I have a degree in HR and had a concentration in marketing. I never really did the HR role, but I've always used kind of the skill set in my operations role. I spent years at Aramark, so started off in hospitality before that with 4 Seasons, went to Aramark. After Aramark, I went to work for a consumer med device division of Bristol Myers Squibb. Got recruited in because they had a lot of great medical people and sales and marketing people, but not strong operators. And spent 10 years there, up to 2013. And after that, I kind of left as a VP of commercial ops, so running a lot of different facets across a couple business units. And that's when I took some time off to kind of re-engage with my kids, who I was traveling a lot, not really seeing as much. And at that time, they were 6 and 4, so I was missing a lot. And that's when Chris and I we've always stayed in touch and reconnected about this opportunity, and then just started to go from there.
Good. And what about Chris's background? I know he's not here because he's busy, but you compliment.
Not as much fun as mine, but he's good. No, he was sort of similar. We started in the hotel world together and hospitality world together. It's a funny story. When I was in college, a sophomore in college, he was a bar manager. Right?
Really?
So I was an employee of his.
Oh, really?
That's how we started. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Now he's like a big brother, and I'm like a little brother. So it's been a long time. He spent 18 years with Aramark, really growing up through that organization. Left. He was a regional VP running a big profit and loss center in one of their divisions, and just kind of the same place. Traveled a lot. Was just tired of doing the same thing and wanted to get a change. Just wasn't 100% sure what that change was.
Good. Well, we need to take a break, but I can think of about 35 things to ask. So we'll be back with more questions for Jason Fisher of Empirical Consulting Solutions after these messages on CEO Chat.
Stick around.
Shelter dogs aren't broken. They've simply experienced more life. If they were human, we would call them wise. They would be the ones with tales to tell. and stories to write. The ones dealt a bad hand who responded with courage. Do not pity a shelter dog. Adopt one.
Say we've got grit, and we'll take it as a compliment. Because it's our uncommon drive, our spark within, that brings us together and sets us apart. We are Temple made. And when others take shortcuts, when others take breaks, when others take the easy way, we take charge.
I work 13 hours a day, 6 days a week. So when I'm off the clock, I gotta get stuff done. So when I need a snack, I need something healthy, tasty, and easy to eat. Like wonderful pistachios without the shells. They're protein-powered, delicious, and great on the go. And that's perfect for me. Thanks, Liz. A woman without a lot of time.
Whether you're a gourmet cook or just want to eat like one, visit Rostelli Market Fresh, your home for the freshest, locally sourced ingredients to please everyone who loves great food. Our organic meats, quality seafood, and free-range poultry are cut fresh to order. Chefs create culinary-inspired prep foods made fresh every day, which pair nicely with our vast selection of fine wines and spirits. Choose from handmade pastas, artisan cheeses, organic produce, and grocery items, all from the finest purveyors. Rostelli Market Fresh, from our family to yours.
Welcome back to CEO Chat. This guy is Joe Asamendi.
And that's Alcini.
I still am.
Yes, you are.
What are my initials again? AC?
AC.
Yeah, I know. We'll talk about that another time. But our guest is Jason Fisher, Empirical Consulting Solutions, Narberth, Pennsylvania, but customers all over the world. And during the break, we were talking about the difference between a kind of an activist consultant and all the other consultants. I mean, aside from the fact that you bring your own pens and don't have to borrow the customers, which is a differentiator among consultants. The consultants that I've always enjoyed working with are the ones who will listen as you talk for a few minutes and then say, okay, where's the plant? Where's the data center? Where do you make the stuff?
Right.
Where do you sell the stuff? That's you guys.
Yeah, so we in that define phase, when we really talk about what the project's going to be and we're learning, and we make sure we ask the right questions, that's in a room sitting with key stakeholders. We don't sit with one person. We ask that all the people involved in whatever process we're looking at are involved in the conversation, because if I don't have a discussion with the person running a manufacturing machine, it doesn't really matter what the office says to me. It matters how that person's running the machine, because I'm going to learn more from them than I am from a piece of paper or an SOP.
Right.
So we often...
In fact, their misunderstanding of that person's operating that machine could be part of the problem. You don't know that until you've seen it.
Correct, and we do a lot of value stream mapping. So one of the first things we do is start with, maybe we look from how you get a lead to how you invoice the final product, right? We don't look at how you build the product. We look at the steps, but not in detail. What we find is when we get 8, 9, 10 people in a room, half the conversation is us quiet, them arguing about what's really what they do or don't do, because they never get in a room together and
really
have these
get in a room
conversations. And then we spend a lot of time, once we have that kind of stream and that process down, then we spend a lot of time evaluating. So we'll walk the floor, we'll sit and watch the production. If it's manufacturing, we'll sit with the machine operators and watch the production. If it's med devices, we'll look at their quality and sit with their quality people as they evaluate runs of production and things like that. So.
Now, we're talking manufacturing, but you've also got some clients that are in the service business.
Yeah, so we really cover 12 segments, but professional services, healthcare, manufacturing, waste management, energy, we've kind of been all over. And professional service could be a law firm, could be accounting, could be a marketing and HR firm.
Okay.
And we've probably covered, I think, 28 specific industries.
Wow. And healthcare could be a pretty big, that's a big topic in itself. There's healthcare delivery and...
Yeah, we've worked with medical device because we have a vertical in that. So medical device, startup, a little bit more mature companies. We've worked with home care companies. So.
Okay, great. You work with R&D organizations, people having difficulties coming up with new product ideas. Do you ever?
We don't generally do product ideation, so we're not sitting with a small group of people trying to figure out the next best product. But we may help R&D companies or research companies on how to facilitate process to find the next best product.
And that's usually when companies say that they feel they need to be more innovative, it's not that they want people to come up with ideas for them, it's that they want to learn how to come up with ideas on their own.
Right.
And that's something you can help them with.
Yes.
Which is a great thing. You like doing this? Is this fun for you?
The work, I love it.
Do you really? Why? What is it about the work that...
So on a personal note, I spent all these years worried about my career and what was next and who was gonna, I don't know that I would say worry about who was gonna think what next, because I'm a pretty candid person, but I always, looking at the next role and what's the next salary increase and how do I get there. And I enjoyed a lot of the companies I worked for. I enjoyed a good amount of the people. I didn't like, I have to get consensus with everybody. It's so hard to make a decision. You're always kind of looking at what everybody else wants to do. And being in this environment, I have a better work-life balance. It's great. I see my kids more often. I get to do what I want to do. If I don't want to work on an engagement, I don't do it, right? I don't have to. And so, I would say, I use the analogy with my one son who plays basketball. If you don't take a shot, you won't make the shot. If you take the shot, you're probably going to miss a bunch of them, but at least you took them and you're not regretting it.
Well, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Correct.
Absolutely. So, okay, so everybody in the firm, how large is the firm now?
20 plus people, 4 partners, and then we have a group of people in the different functions.
Some are employees, some are subcontractors, I guess.
Sure, yeah. And
so you have a portfolio of people you can
up
pull in to solve a problem
Yep.
as that comes up. Been around long enough to be able to have met a whole bunch of people, I'm sure.
Yeah, we have a pretty extensive network, which is nice.
No, that's great too. Where do you see it all headed? Where does ECS land, and what's your 5-year plan?
So our 5-year
Well, don't
plan,
give me 5 years. Just give me 5 minutes. That'd be great.
Our plan is to just keep growing, right? We've kind of gotten our head how we want to grow. We understand what we don't want to be. I say we're never 100% sure of what we want to be because that keeps evolving, and 6 years is still kind of young. So we keep changing, and we have to take our own medicine, right? We have people we count on in our strategic network to give us advice and counsel us and be our sounding board. I like to see us keep growing at the same pace and adding a couple people every year and expanding our client base. And
Good.
One nice thing is we don't have to work to a 10-year plan with a certain number to hit. And
well, I mean, you've been growing based on your reputation now for 5 years, and to go from 2 people to 26, did you say 26
20
people?
plus, yeah.
Yeah, 20 plus people in 5 years is pretty impressive.
Yeah, so it's been great. So we're happy to stay on that trajectory.
Great.
Do you have clients nationwide?
Yeah, so we have clients all over the country, and a lot of times we'll start with a corporate office or a local spot, and then it'll turn into, hey, we have 3 places here. Or we have districts of salespeople, so we'll go in the field with the salespeople in their space. We don't like to bring everybody to us. We like to go where the people work because that's the environment they're in, and the country's so big. It's very different working in the Southeast than it is the East Coast, right? So
well, in a modern world too, you can do a lot more work remotely than you used to be able to even a few years ago. So it's possible to help people on the other side of the planet without having to actually go there.
We have a fair mix of being on site and being live because you can do the virtual, but you can't replace this one.
You can't replace the
conversation.
face-to-face
What happens
kind
at the
of thing.
lunch and while you're
Actually,
driving.
it feels like the pendulum's starting to swing back toward every now and then you've got to get in a room with somebody to really relate to them.
Have a conversation.
So, okay, now what kind of management, you're an executive in your company, and your company's growing to a point where now you almost need to think about your own management structure. Who's the boss?
In our company?
Yeah.
That's a pretty interesting
Keep
question.
in mind that everybody you work with is watching.
Yeah. No, I'm not worried about them in that conversation. No, it's really what's really nice. So we do a lot of internal work for ourselves. So we make sure we have a lot of planning sessions on a monthly basis with us. We've worked with the NAS partners, Predictive Index, to understand our personalities.
Dave Nass, great guy.
Yeah, we're very different in our personalities.
You're allowed to be.
Bill and I are kind of mavericks. Chris is very regimented in process. So we really, the 4 of us make decisions together. We will have, I would say, a lot of good debate. It's not arguments, it's debate. We come from different viewpoints and different experience sets. I don't think there's a time I can think of where we haven't come to an agreement. We've started here and we've worked our way to here, and sometimes Bill has to moderate Chris and I, probably more than we have to be moderated the most because we're like brothers. Bill will just say, okay, you guys are being ridiculous. Once in a while, I think he stirs it up just to get us to have a debate together. And we've really been able to make decisions so far. we have an operating agreement in place in case we can't make decisions. It's very spelled out what happens.
Oh,
So
but you hardly ever need it. Because
we've never
collaboratively,
opened it.
You've never had to pull that red handle.
No, other than to add a new partner and add
Well,
names to it.
A
But
collaborative leadership model like that makes you agile, makes you responsive to the market, and you know, if you're helping each other solve customer problems, that's about as good as it gets. So
yeah,
it's great.
It's been great so far.
Good.
Okay, we have to wrap it up on that note. So maybe you can look right into your camera, tell
Sure.
everybody how to reach Jason Fisher and Empirical Consulting.
Best way is www.thinkempirical.com, and you'll be able to see our whole team, be able to contact us through the website. It's the best way.
Great team. We've met many of them, and we'll look forward to meeting the others too.
Yeah,
But,
thanks so much for having us again.
Jason, what a
I
pleasure.
appreciate it.
Been a pleasure meeting you, Jason.
Thank you, you as well.
And thanks to all of you for tuning into this episode of CEO Chat. We'll see you again next Friday. I'm Al Cini.
Joe Osamendi.
Tell them to have a good weekend, Joe.
Have a great weekend. Be safe, sound, because we want you here back next week.
Definitely. We'll be back next week. Thank you. Perfect.
Great.
Good.